Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, our guest is Pesh Patel, kidney patient, kidney transplant recipient, currently seeking a second kidney transplant, founder of A Kidney Life, Talk Kidney to Me podcaster, and kidney advocate. Pesh is a former hospitality executive who has pivoted his life into content creation, education, advocacy, and raising awareness for his fellow kidney patients. Pesh, who crashed into dialysis, has turned this devastating life event into his life's purpose. Although his kidney journey has been filled with multiple setbacks and victories, he continues to be committed to giving back by fighting for others. Pesh does this by promoting a healthy lifestyle and sharing his own story as a transplant recipient and as a webmaster of his own website, A Kidney Life, and podcaster with his unique and personal style podcast, Talk Kidney to Me. He offers kidney coaching for kidney patients that includes awareness and education, a personalized health plan, support and advocacy, and long term maintenance and growth. His unique perspective as a kidney warrior and advocate with his experience navigating challenges and setbacks that accompany kidney disease enable him to give the right support to help others overcome obstacles and empower kidney patients to lead fulfilling and productive lives. Pesh is also an ultra busy and active kidney advocate. Please give a warm welcome to our friend Pesh Patel. Pesh, how you doing tonight?
Great, and thank you for that amazing introduction. You actually make it sound like I'm actually doing something out here, so thank you for that.
Well, you are, my friend. You are, no doubt about it. Did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
Yes, sir. Everything's good.
Please tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, and your work experience.
Sure. I was born in England, actually, and then my family we moved to the States when I was 9 years old. So went from growing up in North London to Northeast Mississippi, and grew up there. High school there, Amory High School. Shout out Amory. And then from there, Florida State University, and then from Florida State, I transferred to Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. And so finished my college career there. I was active in many things on campus, including active part of Kappa Sigma fraternity. So those were some great days out there. And then from after college, I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where my family had been in the hotel business since we actually moved to the States. And we had a few hotels in the area. So just, working in the family business. And then for a short stint, took some time away because I had a feeling I would always be in the hotel business. So for a few years was on the corporate side in an insurance company doing internal training and marketing. So did that, and that was great. And then in around 2012, 2011, I decided that operations in the hotel industry were not for me. If we're low on toilet paper or soap, that was somebody else's problem. I'm more of a big picture thinker. And so I decided that I wanted to go global. And, the hotel market back then, I could see where I was. It was starting to become saturated. So why not go global? And that's what I decided to do. And fortunate enough to work on projects in the UK and Ireland, and also Australia and Portugal. So it was an amazing time, and hospitality was, or still is, I guess you could say, my passion. And now, with everything I've been through from a health perspective and my health journey, I've realized that helping others and this kidney life is my purpose.
Excellent, excellent. Let's talk about some of your experiences with kidney disease. I
Sure.
understand that your journey begins in Melbourne, Australia. Can you please tell us why were you there?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to me saying I was doing international development and consulting in the hospitality world, I was working on a project in Darwin, Australia, which is at the very top end of Australia. It's actually closer to Asia than it is to another major city in Australia. But my architect, my colleagues on the team were in Melbourne. So I was in Melbourne to visit with them and meet with them, and I was also there for a hotel conference that I was invited to from Hilton. And I was walking to my architect's office one morning. It was a Monday morning, and on the way there to walk, 3 city blocks I had to stop 4 times because I couldn't breathe. Now, I thought I was out of shape, and once I got back to the States, I needed to head back to the gym and figure that out. But when I got to my architect's office, he advised me to go to the doctor's office, as he had had fluid in his lungs before, and it seemed that my symptoms were the same. But me being stubborn said, I'm fine, and kept on with the day as well as I could. But the next morning, I woke up and worst I'd ever felt in my life, and went to the ER. And within 2 hours, 2 blood transfusions and being wheeled off to ICU. So the purpose I was in Australia is definitely not the main. What ended up being the mainstay of that trip.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit when you went to the ER? What happened? What did they determine? What was
So
causing all your problems?
so they just ran a battery of tests, as you can imagine. And, even through the ICU and then through ultrasounds or everything else, they realized that only one kidney had developed since birth, and that one kidney was only 2% functional. So unfortunately, it was too scarred and atrophied for them to do a biopsy to figure out root cause. But that's when I found out that I needed a transplant.
Okay. What did they do for you after they made this diagnosis?
Well, I was on a 24-hour dialyzer. I had the fun experience of getting a cath put in my neck. And so I was on that 24-hour dialyzer. And then they were just doing everything they could to get me back to as normal as they could get me. And then after that, a tunnel port was put in to my chest, and I started receiving normal dialysis treatments, hemodialysis treatments, there in the hospital before I was discharged.
How long were you hospitalized?
A week.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I understand that they also told you that you would need a kidney transplant. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I didn't know what a kidney transplant was. I think I'd seen that in a movie a couple of times, but I didn't really know what that entailed. And even before that, when I didn't know how important the kidneys were to the body until I was diagnosed and saw the damage that it had done to my body by, having the toxins in my system that I did because the kidney was not working properly.
Okay. You were initially placed on hemodialysis. Did your modality of dialysis change after you got back home?
No, sir. I was living in Houston at the time, and the day after I landed, I went into DaVita Center in Sugar Land, Texas, and was doing Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday treatments for 4 hours each time.
Okay. And how long were you on hemodialysis the first time before you had a transplant?
Oh, I was in there doing hemo for 15 months. So from May of 2017 through August of 2018.
Okay. Were you listed for a kidney transplant?
Yes, as soon as I got back to the States and started my dialysis treatments, then we went through the necessary steps to get me listed at Houston Methodist in the medical center right there in Houston.
Okay. And approximately when did your first kidney transplant take place?
August 7th of 2018.
Okay. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that day. What happened?
So it was a pair donation, and we had on that day, 4 recipients, 4 donors. And I just remember checking into the hospital on Monday evening, I guess it was. Tuesday morning, they wheeled me in, and then the next thing I know, waking up to a room full of a few nurses, and they tell me that everything went well, and so there we go.
Okay.
And there was no issues, no complications. So yeah, it was successful. And then the day of, I think it was the Thursday. So the transplant was Tuesday. So on Thursday, before all the living donors left, we got to meet whose kidney we received. So I got to meet Chris, an amazing human being. I got to meet his parents and his now wife, which was just great to see.
Did somebody donate a kidney to a third party on your behalf? You mentioned paired donation. I'm trying to figure out exactly how this worked.
Yeah, there was a family member that had donated to me, and then that they were part of the paired exchange. So
Okay. Okay. And your health immediately after transplant?
oh, it was amazing. It was great. Like it took me, you getting used to the immunosuppressants is something that people don't understand until you've done it. I don't believe having conversation with fellow kidney patients and transplant recipients. I don't think you really understand it. So there was that hurdle that I had to jump over. But after that, it was good. I think the doctors, if I'm not mistaken, told me to just lay low and, stay to myself and just, due to the immune system and being so immunosuppressed for 3 months or so, if I remember correctly. But I remember after 6 weeks, I was at the gym starting to work out because I wanted to get my body stronger again.
How long did this particular transplant last?
So unfortunately, the transplant only lasted 2.5 years. So in February of 2021, I found out the kidney had rejected or was rejecting, and so then that whole I don't know if I'm gonna call it episode or what, but that whole moment in time happened where, again, being diagnosed, as you know, with a chronic illness is difficult enough, and then having somebody with like me with no medical knowledge whatsoever, finding out all the steps you have to do, especially crashing into dialysis, and then I got my transplant. I was like, okay, I have the answer. This is it. I'm good to go. I believe about 5 months after my transplant, I even flew to Australia back for that project, and then like 2 weeks later, flew to Ireland for something else. So I was just enjoying life and living it up, honoring the gift, as they say. But to hear that, the thing that you relied on and waited so long for, which 15 months, I'm fortunate that the wait was not as long as a lot of people have to endure, but it was still a wait, in my perspective, a long wait. But then to find out that, hey, what your answer was is no longer the answer, it's overwhelming. And that's, again, that mental health that I think sometimes people don't understand or appreciate with having a chronic illness, especially in my case with kidney disease, kicks back in, and you don't know what to do, which way to turn. And again, like, how is this possible? This was supposed to be my answer, and yet here we are.
What led you to seek medical advice when you were learning about this rejection? What happened?
I was just trying to figure it out, honestly, to put it as simply as possible. I was just trying to figure it out. Like, how can this happen? What caused it? And that's when I learned about things such as antibody mediated rejection. I also had BK virus. And those two things together are not good, of course. So just learning what happened, what could have been done differently, and then, hey, what can I do as a modality to get better and maybe save the organ? And that's when the steps like plasmapheresis, IVIG, and other things came into play to hopefully stop the progression of the rejection. But unfortunately, none of that worked.
So when they made this determination in February of 2021 that you had suffered a rejection, what, if anything, did they do about it after that?
So yeah, they did the treatments, the plasmapheresis, IVIG, up the steroids. They went through their protocol to do what they could, but unfortunately, nothing was happening, nothing was working to try and save it. And that's when the conversations initially began to say, hey, do you know anybody that would want to donate again? Why don't you start thinking about getting on the transplant list? And those conversations happened, which were not easy because again, back to me being stubborn, I was like, no, we're going to fix this. We're going to figure out a way. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Okay. Where are you currently listed to get a second kidney transplant?
Yeah, so as of, I just got the call this past Friday, listed at Tulane Medical Center in New Orleans. Well, it's Metairie technically, but everybody says New Orleans, Louisiana. So thrilled. The team there with Dr. Paramesh and everybody else are amazing. So listed there, and I guess this is my first live announcement about it, but the campaign for finding another living donor begins.
All right. You're also in the process of being evaluated somewhere else. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm getting ready to be evaluated at Mayo Clinic in Arizona. So as of right now, we're scheduled for the week of November 18th. So that entire week, I'll be out there in the Phoenix area to get tested and then go through those necessary steps to then be listed at another location.
I understand that Tulane has a living donor transplant program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, just like with when I was a Houston Methodist, if somebody wants to be a living donor for me, then they just go to the Tulane Transplant website, and then they fill out the information, and then they'll go through the necessary steps to see if they're able to be a donor, and if so, we'll go through those next steps. And again, I don't off the top of my head have the website or 800 number, but I'm sure we can throw that in the comments once this is published on social media.
Just so everyone understands, that website is currently streaming across your screen with the 800 number, 800-588-5800 to donate. That's 800-588-5800 to donate. If you go to my personal Facebook page, the broadcast is pinned to the top of my personal Facebook page, and in the comments to the broadcast, all of my research on Pesh is there, including the link to Tulane and that phone number in case the scrolling is going by too fast. But you can contact that website, and you can talk to them and at least get the conversation started about testing for Pesh, or you can call the 800 phone number. That number again, 800-588-5800. So tell us, what are you
Thank
doing
you for that, by the way.
Oh,
I appreciate that. See, this is why you're the man, Jim.
well, we got to do our job, Pesh. Jeez.
That's fair.
I understand that you are campaigning to find a living donor. Why a living donor this time around?
Because my blood type is O positive, and nationally, at least last time I checked, the wait time for O positive blood type is around 7 to 10 years. And as you know, being on hemodialysis, which I started a little over 2 months ago, I believe the stat is, and Jim, you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're on dialysis for over five years, the chance of a successful transplant go down 50%. So a living donor is, my best option for a healthy life.
Okay. And as everybody knows, when you receive a kidney from a living donor, it's better for the patient, it's better for the donor, it lasts longer for the recipient. So there's a lot of advantages to, in most cases for living donation. So what are your current plans that you can tell us about tonight that you plan to engage in to help you find a living donor? I mean, besides your loudmouth Uncle Jim and his broadcast.
Well, I'm going to use my loudmouth also and do social media videos, and just also take my network and ask them to share the message through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and even LinkedIn. So, we have social media at our fingertips. Why not use it?
Absolutely. And again, I want to remind everybody, if you go to my Facebook page, the broadcast is pinned to the top of my page. in the comments, all of these places that Pesh is talking about, I, all the links are there. So if you want more information on Pesh, you want to help what's going on, you want to spread the word, and we're asking you, share the broadcast. Whatever Pesh posts in the future, make sure you share all that. Share it to your personal page. So, if we share it to our kidney groups, that's okay. But the problem there is everybody in the group has kidney disease and isn't qualified to donate. So share it to your personal page, share it with your friends that aren't all kidney patients, and make sure that we help get the word out for our friend Pesh, right? We want to do that
Absolutely.
because, we were fortunate enough to get a gift of this nature, and we want to make sure that we help out people that are seeking. And our friend Pesh is seeking. He's a good guy. We're going to talk about his advocacy work in a minute. This is going to knock you out, all the things that he's involved in, man. I mean, this guy works hard for his fellow kidney patients. So let's talk a little bit about that kidney advocacy work. Tell us about your website, a Kidney Life. What goes on there?
So a kidney life just kind of came out of thin air, and actually it came from what probably to date has been the hardest part of my life in this health journey. And that happened, I'll take you back a little bit before that, which is April of 2023. I had finally gotten healthier where I could travel internationally now after the rejection, since the rejection. Again, at this time, I'm not on dialysis or anything. I'm just doing what I can to just take everything a day at a time and just try to get as healthy as possible. So I'm like, okay, I'm a big soccer fan. Manchester United in England is my team, being born in England. And so I'm like, I need to go make my pilgrimage to Old Trafford, which is the stadium there in Manchester. And so let me get healthy enough. Now that I'm healthy enough, I'm going to do that. And what better time than my birthday? Who knows how many more birthdays I have? So let me just do that. So I plan the trip, and I go to Manchester. And also plan a trip to Cardiff, Wales, and then to London, where I have my big brother and a few other great friends and family meet me there. So I go on the trip, and I cut my trip short. And I was still supposed to go to York and Cambridge and a few other places in the UK, but I'm just feeling like absolute, you know what? I'm not going to say those four-letter words I like to say in your on your podcast, but yeah, feeling absolutely terrible. So I fly back, found out that my GFR was at an 8, so kidney function at an 8. My creatinine was at 7.4. So I'm, basically bedridden for a good 60 days at least, from what I can remember. And I'm laying there one day, and I think to myself, when I was in ICU in Australia, I made myself a promise that, hey, my passion is hospitality, but my purpose would be to give back. But I hadn't done anything about it because, again, once the transplant happened, I took life for granted, and I was just enjoying life and all the travels and everything that comes with it. So steak dinners, great bottles of wine, and all of that good stuff. Well, I realized, just after a few days of thinking about it, that you know what, even if I feel terrible, I can still be on my laptop, and I used to love to write. So why don't I just share my thoughts and experiences and start with a newsletter? So name the newsletter A Kidney Life, because that was just, this is just me trying to live my life as a kidney patient. So that's how A Kidney Life came up. And then the newsletter turned into more. And then that's when I, really felt, with the feedback I was getting from the newsletter, just really felt some more energy. And then I got on my, what I call a strict ass diet. And so for 60 days, I was on this diet. And with 60 days, my creatinine went from 7.4 to 3.71. And my GFR went from 8 to 20. So I'm like, all right, well, there's something to this. Let me see if I can really, in addition to this newsletter, how can I help people? And that's what really started it all. And that's when I was introduced to our friends Jim at NKF, and then became a part of the Kidney Advocacy Committee. I volunteered here in Louisiana at National Kidney Foundation, Louisiana, which I'm now a member of the board of directors, fortunately enough. And, it's just been onwards and upwards from there. So I tell you, I enjoyed my days of hospitality, still miss it at times, but there's nothing fulfilling like helping other people.
Right, right. And just so folks know that website, a kidney life. Wow, somebody's coughing.
Yeah, sorry.
https colon double backslash all lowercase akidneylife.com. akidneylife.com. So you want to check out the website. Talk to us a little bit about the podcast, Talk Kidney to Me. What's that all about? How did it come about? What kinds of things do you discuss?
Sure. So you're on the board for AAKP, American Association of Kidney Patients. Your fellow board member, Sarah Eve Schaefer, she was on I was listening to a webinar from AAKP, and then she had said some things, and I was like, okay, well, I like her messaging. I reached out to her and I said, hey, let's have a call. I want to hear more about your perspective because she's a former dialysis clinic manager, renal dietitian. So I just wanted to get her take on certain things in the kidney care world. And then at the end of the call, she reached out and said, hey, we should do a podcast. I said, absolutely. So she came up with the name, Talk Kidney to Me. And we just started talking about it. And within 47 days from just the initial conversation and thought of it, to our first episode we launched. So it's been amazing. We've talked to some incredible people. Um, I mentioned Dr. Paramesh from Tulane earlier. He's been a guest. This T-shirt I'm wearing, Renal AI, Severus McLaughlin, Dr. Severus McLaughlin. He's the CEO and founder of DeLorean AI. So he was a guest, and some amazing people. And we're on a break right now. She unfortunately has had to deal with two hurricanes in a row, living in the Tampa Bay area, and so we're on a timeout right now, but once she's up and ready to go, then we'll film the next episode. But it's been great. It's just gives us a chance, like what you do on a weekly basis. It gives us a chance to have these conversations with people in the kidney care community, and we focused our more towards the medical community and those in industry, just so then we can share with patients what's going on as opposed to talking directly with patients.
Okay. All right. And the link to that, https colon double backslash lowercase talkkidneytome.podbean.com backslash. So if you're looking for it, and there'll be more podcasts coming up soon, as soon as we get Pesh's partner back online. So
Yeah,
you
and
don't
that's
you don't
also
want to miss that.
available. It's also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Wherever you find your favorite podcast, you'll find Talk Kidney to Me.
Excellent, excellent. Let's talk about your activities with the NKF. I have you on the Kidney Advocacy Committee,
Mm-hmm.
the Public Policy Advocacy Board, the Patient Education Advisory Board, and a member of the NKF Peers. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences there?
Yeah, so I was actually fortunate with you that we were in DC in February earlier this year. That was my first kidney patient summit, and I'd been there before advocating on behalf of hotel owners in the past, multiple times. But to see this side of it, to see where I'm there with our extended family, Jim, with fellow kidney and transplant patients, and advocating for what truly is life and death, and these bills that affect our care, affect different things. Like, one of the things we talked about was the Living Donor Protection Act. We're talking about living donor here, Living Donor Protection Act, the home dialysis, and things of that nature that are on the desks of these lawmakers, and showing them through our lived experience and sharing our thoughts and experiences and everything we've been through or family members have been through for the caregivers that were there is important, because they need to put a face and a name to kidney disease, because as we all know, kidney disease is a silent disease. And like me, not knowing how important kidneys were until mine wore out, it's important that we stress these conversations and try to get these bills passed that affect all of us.
Okay. Talk about your experiences as a mentor with the NKF Peers.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea for coaching. Actually, was I'm noticing, and every time I have a conversation with one of my peer mentees, that just having a conversation, even if we don't have labs to talk about or medical conditions to talk about, just having somebody on the other line that has a shared experience means the world. Because a lot of us, and I'll speak for myself here, even though I had an amazing and still have an amazing support system, you can still feel alone. You can still ask that question, like, why is this happening to me? But when you speak to somebody that's got a shared experience, it's very impactful and it's inspirational to hear that other person and know that somebody's there for you. So that's, I can't put into words, honestly, like how meaningful being a peer mentor is.
Okay. You mentioned that you were on the board of directors for the NKF of Louisiana. Can you
Yes,
tell
sir.
us a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, great board. CEO Tori Krantz is amazing. And everybody I've met through there is just selfless, ready, at the drop of a hat. If I need to call them for anything, reach out, text. We're sharing ideas on how to better help the citizens as here in Louisiana. Education and raise awareness about kidney disease and the importance of living donation, the importance of getting kidney screenings, the importance of just overall healthy lifestyle and well-being.
Very good. Very good. I noticed that you're also an ambassador for the American Kidney Fund. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with that?
Yeah, they've been also great. I was introduced to the AKF through Ben Schlesinger, and he and I have had some amazing conversations. And just like the KAC members, the ambassadors with the AKF are just want to help, just understand how dire the situation can be for those with kidney disease or those that need a transplant. And so again, we are amplifying our voice in a group, and that makes the message louder and better.
All right. I noticed that recently you attended the Transplant Games. Talk about your experience with that.
Oh, that was great. I didn't know what to expect, and Jim, I don't know if you can tell, my days of being an athlete are over. I think they're long gone. Who knows? We'll see in 2 years when that comes back around. But I wanted to go to share stories. I wanted to hear stories. I wanted to shake hands and give hugs and just take it all in. And that's exactly what I did. And it was incredible. From hearing the stories of, you know, family members who had lost a sibling or lost a child, and they're still there at the transplant games to share the story of their loved one and how they give the greatest gift you can give, which is a gift of life. It was just, again, inspiring doesn't begin to capture what that felt like. So we had some great conversations and great laughs too, because at the end of the day, um, you know, one of some of the best parts of living is laughing, right? So being able to share stories and just be a part of the entire energy that was there in Birmingham was amazing.
Wow. You also are part of corporate boards and you're a consultant with many corporate groups. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Tell us about your experiences with Bayer Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, Bayer Pharmaceuticals. I'm on their Heart and Kidney Alliance, and so we've had a few calls. And again, based out of Berlin, and we have a doctor on there that's from the UK, which is near and dear to my heart. Um, so no, it's just been good because again, we're all coming together, and a mutual friend of ours, Patrick G, he's on
All
there. He's
right.
one of the leaders of the board. So again, we're putting our heads together and our hearts together to see like how can we make this better for others, that and hopefully that people don't end up like me and crashing into dialysis. How can we raise awareness? How can we spread the knowledge we have, and how can we get that information out to people?
Excellent. Excellent. Another group Vera Therapeutics?
Yeah, I just started with them, so we're working on something. Not really able to share too much about that yet, but yeah, Vera has been so far so good on that end.
Okay. Alexon Pharma?
Yeah, Alexion, I was just part of a focus group and to discuss clinical trial that's upcoming. So giving a patient perspective on, if I were to go through a clinical trial and give that perspective, because the medical side and the pharma side, they're doing their thing, but they need to hear from us because at the end of the day, we are the end user. So that's where, people like us and our voice is valuable.
Great. Great. You mentioned DeLorean AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Tell us a
just
little bit about that.
sure. Amazing team, amazing group of people. I'd only known Seb through the podcast, Dr. Severus McLaughlin, like I said, the CEO and founder. But this past week, they flew me out to San Diego for American Society of Nephrologists conference,
Oh,
ASN.
wow.
Yeah, so was out
Excellent.
there. Yeah, amazing experience. Got to, again, not just from an AI side, but just from again, I say this all the time, from the human side of a patient perspective and sharing, hey, this is what we're going through. This is what helps me when I'm speaking to other patients. And I can have all this information at my hands to speak to these pharma groups or these other industry folks to let them know that, hey, this is what we're going through. This is what you guys should be looking out for. And this is what you guys need to be mindful of when coming. Because yes, I understand that everybody's in business and the bottom line, such a thing. But at the end of the day, like we're the ones that, are affected by all of this. And this is we're the ones, our lives are impacted. So we want you to be mindful of that in everything you do. But DeLorean, great. Medical AI. I wish I had access to medical AI when I was going through what I was going through, so that I may have known earlier that my kidney, excuse me, was failing, or even through the dialysis process when I was going through it. Like, hey, we need to watch you here, you need to watch you there, and I think medical AI will truly help patients like us be a partner in our own care, which I think is really, really needed, sorely missing in a lot of
Right.
experiences I've heard about.
Talk to us a little bit about any of your advocacy experiences that are coming up in the near future. Is there anything new, different, or exciting that's coming that you want to alert us to?
Yeah, actually, with National Kidney Foundation of Louisiana, December 7th, Kidney Life taking 40 plus, ideally pediatric patients. We're taking them to a New Orleans Pelicans game. Because again, going
No
back to the mental
kidding.
health side of things, yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm partnering with NKF Louisiana. And again, I was 40 years old when I was diagnosed, and mental health was a big part of it that I didn't realize. Well, I can only imagine, which is sometimes I do believe that kids are more resilient than us adults at times. But just to have them out a couple of hours, forget about everything, enjoy the game, be a kid, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just enjoy this experience. And it's something I've always wanted to do, that I actually did last 2 weekends ago at Minnesota United's soccer team in the MLS. Had 40 it wasn't all kids, but had 40 tickets where I took children and caregivers to a soccer game and enjoyed a day out, and partnered with NKF
Wow.
Minnesota actually for that event. Called it Kidney Kids Day. So it was big.
Wow. Wow. Is there any final statement that you would like to make to our audience before we conclude the broadcast for the evening?
Yeah, just keep spreading the message. 1 in 3 Americans are at risk for kidney disease. 40% of people that have kidney disease don't know it, and 9% of those are like me, where it's end stage. Tell people to go get their labs done, get kidney screened, talk to your loved ones. Do not be afraid to talk about this, because the more awareness we can create and the more education we can give, the less people are going to be like me. So please, in this one instance, I say, do not be like me. All right, go get checked out. Talk to your medical professionals. Go get tested.
Makes life a lot easier than crashing into dialysis, right?
1000%.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience before we conclude tonight?
No, thank you for your time, Uncle Jim. Thank you for your time in doing this. I really appreciate it. For those of you that have listened to me blabber on for this long, thank you. If you ever want to reach out, all my social media handles are at A Kidney Life. So that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of it, it's A Kidney Life. So yeah, if you ever need anything, or if I can be of help, if you have a loved one that is going through kidney disease, needs somebody to talk to, or going through a transplant process, need somebody to talk to, I am here. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on tonight, sharing your story, helping us raise a little awareness about kidney disease. Your experiences, Pesh, are just amazing. Just amazing. And I'm so happy that you picked us to come on and talk to. And I also want to say I wish you well on obtaining your second kidney transplant. Please keep us posted on how you're doing. And anytime I see where you put something up about your progress, I want you to know I'm going to share it. As you know, I run over 100 groups on Facebook.
You have a lot. I don't know how you do it.
I share to all the major platforms. So, I want to make sure I help out trying to get the word out. And all you got to do is tap me on the shoulder and I'll take care of the rest.
Absolutely. And like I told you, I think over a phone call, next time I'm in Indiana, I'm going to look you up and we'll grab a bite to eat and a glass of wine or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've kept you for almost 45 minutes. I'm going to let you go. I have some things to button up with our audience, but wow, what a great job you did tonight. Just an amazing broadcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and hopefully look forward to seeing you in DC this next year.
Me too. Make sure that you pull on my sleeve if we're both there in March.
Absolutely. You can count on it.
All right. That's our broadcast for tonight, folks. The great Pesh Patel was with us. Wow, what an amazing broadcast! What an amazing story. So next week, November 8th, our guest is Fred Hill. He is an author and a kidney advocate, and he is everywhere. And he has some interesting perspective. Nothing quiet about Fred, right? I mean, if you know Fred's a loud guy, so should be an attention grabbing broadcast if nothing else. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you've missed the broadcast, don't worry about it. The replay is going to be all over the place, so you can check that out. In all 100 of my groups and another 100 places, and just an excellent broadcast tonight. Please share this broadcast. We want to help out our friend Pesh. Make sure you share it to your personal page. We want to try and find some people that are non-kidney people that are capable of donating. And I want to thank all of you again for all of your support. And I'm looking forward to next week. So until then, keep breathing, as my friend Kent Bressler would say, and we'll talk to you soon.